Whew. Did you see Beyonce last night? Yeah. If you didn't, you've probably heard about her halftime show. And I'm going to take a different take on it today with regards to how you, like she, can lean into your Blackness to the benefit of your business. Okay, go on in here. Let's give a chat about this. How's everybody doing this afternoon? I'm certainly hoping that you are enjoying your holiday break. And it's especially apropos to come to you today, the very first day of Kwanzaa. Hey, 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 welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm having a bad connection on Instagram. So I apologize to my Instagram peeps because it's like, oh, there we go. Hopefully the connection doesn't seem to be stable. I'm sorry, Instagram people. I don't know if you guys will get me, but everywhere else, you seem to be seeing me, okay? Hey, hey, hey. I am excited to talk about Beyonce and what we can take from that as Black business owners right now. Now, a couple of things. Well, first of all, happy Kwanzaa to everybody. Today is the very first day of Kwanzaa. Excited to focus on that today because actually the very first theme of Kwanzaa is something that I believe that Beyonce lives very powerfully in what she does. And I also think that's one of the things that makes her so successful. So welcome, first day of Kwanzaa, Umoja, which means unity. Why is that important? I have been talking for years about fangirling for years, quite frankly, over the marketing prowess of Beyonce. We know last night she teased something new that's coming out, right? We heard that, we saw that, we know it's about to drop right soon, and that's something that she often does. It's a really cool marketing technique that she uses a lot. But I want to say that I'm not going to talk about that. Okay. I know that we can take some other sort of notes in terms of how she markets her business strategy writ large. Hey, happy Kwanzaa to you too, Victoria. And I have to say that we can get very motivated by that, right? We can say, okay, there are things that we can learn from this that we can apply to our businesses just in terms of straight up marketing strategy. Absolutely. Just in straight up branding. Absolutely. But I want to talk about something different that she does that I believe right now, especially, is a very critical time that we start to leverage it for the benefit of our business. Okay. And that is this: Beyonce is unapologetically Black. Point blank, period. Point blank, period. Okay. And it's very interesting to me because Beyonce gets a lot of hate. She gets a lot of hate. Right now, she's going to have a lot of racist hate with regards to her country music album. But even beyond that, she's been for years getting a particular type of hate that I can't understand, specifically from Black people. And even more specifically, I hate to admit it, from Black women who oftentimes seems to take joy in saying some particularly vile things about her. And that's something that I just cannot understand. Like, you don't have to like her music. I don't like everybody's music either. I'm not a big fan of a lot of people that are popular today. Okay. But it doesn't mean that I need to say nasty things about them at every given opportunity, right? And here's the thing that gets me about that. What really gets me about that is if you juxtapose that around how Beyonce operates in public and how she has operated in public for years. This is one sister who elevates Black women, who elevates Black people, who is literally unapologetically Black in everything that she does. Here she is, the woman who was the first Black woman to headline Coachella. How you doing there, D? Hey, Rhonda. And as the first Black woman to headline Coachella, not only did she introduce Black culture to Coachella via the Black Homecoming experience, not only did she take the time to introduce the quote unquote Negro national anthem to the world via Coachella, in this space in which she was the first Black woman to have that opportunity, she also was petty enough to call out, which I really adored. She was also petty enough to call out Coachella for having it take so long to have the first Black woman to headline Coachella. She did that in real time, live on stage during the concert. Okay. So I want to say that she has always been unapologetically Black, but I want to talk about this specifically in relation to a business strategy. The fact that being unapologetically Black in and of itself can be part of a very successful business strategy. And I think it's very important to acknowledge this, especially now. Why? For a couple of reasons. Number one, I know as someone who has worked with Black entrepreneurs now for nearly a decade, probably a better part of a decade at this point, what I have heard from some, I'll just say I've heard it more than once. I've heard it more often than I would like to admit. There are some people who literally, Black people specifically, that literally hide, that really believe that their most expedited path to success is to erase their likeness from any and everything that they do. There are some Black people that believe that they can only be successful if they dull down who they are, right? If they, in essence, put a lot of images that they, stock images that they find from sort of stock image provider all over their website, but you can go on each and every page and you'll never see a picture of them because they don't want to be known to be a Black business. And I guess you can do that. Obviously, you can do that. You can build a business like that. You could build a successful business like that, I'm sure. But what I want us to embrace is the notion that actually you can be just a superstar. This is the word that I'm looking for. By leaning all the way into who you are. What I love about what Beyonce does over and over and over again is that she does not yield to white comfort. Hello. She does not yield to white comfort. She does not allow white comfort to edit how she shows up, who she shows up as, what she determines or decides to do. I'm sorry. Let me try this again. I'm trying to go back live on Instagram again because it's not really keeping. And I want this to, it keeps saying that it's not a good thing. It's a problem with Instagram. Okay. So here is what I'll say is that she definitely does not yield to white comfort. Instead, she shows up fully. She not only shows up fully as who she is, she shares the spotlight with other Black people. She doesn't hog all the attention nor seek to hog all the attention. It was very intentional to me, and it really touched me deeply that yesterday, as she came on stage and sort of literally that sort of entrance, the very different and very creative entrance that she had onto the field yesterday, one of the very first songs that she sang, like as she was coming through that tunnel and about to enter the field, was she sang the song Blackbird. Okay. And I don't know if you know the history behind the song Blackbird, but let me just tell you a little bit about the history behind the song Blackbird and who she had singing it with her. Okay. So Blackbird was written by, the song Blackbird was written by John Lennon and Paul McCartney. And they wrote that song specifically in relation to the civil rights movement. I saw this interview by Paul McCartney where he was talking about it, and he was saying at the time they were watching, the world was watching what was happening with the Little Rock Nine and those children looking to integrate schools in America. Well, a particular school at that point in America. And he was looking at the little girls particularly. And in England, bird, he was saying, was a slang term that they would oftentimes use for women. So when that song Blackbird is really about Black women in the civil rights movement. And he said that his hope around writing that song was to give those young people who are undergoing all of the hate, all of the vitriol, all of the threats of violence, all of the attempted violence, all of that toxic terrorism that we have known in this country for centuries, but that was specifically pointed at them as they were trying to integrate, the Little Rock Nine. He said that song was really meant to give them a little bit of hope. I want you to understand that that song was chosen very intentionally, I'm sure, by Beyonce. Beyonce, one thing you can tell about her, she understands her history. She knows who she is. She knows where she's from. And she spends so much of her artistry. sharing our history, our culture, our creativity to the world without dulling it down, without making it palatable for people. She lives in it boldly. And yes, she has people that hates her. But let me tell you, she also have many, many more who love her, who will go out and buy each and everything that she does, go to each and every concert, download each and every album. You know, there is a reason why she broke all sorts of records with the Cowboy album, probably even though there are people like me who don't really listen to country, honestly, but who purchased it. However, I will say this, my father listened to country. Okay. This idea that that country music is white, we all know is wrong. Just like every other music of substance in this nation that was ever created and birthed from this nation. Guess who birthed it? Okay, but I will say this. So she chose that song. She chose that song that harkened back to, once again, Black culture, Black history, Black people, Black women, and she sang it with other Black women in country music, who have been catching hell as well, right? She highlighted them not only on her album, but in that moment, while she was literally in the spotlight. That was the closest thing that we'll see to a Super Bowl halftime show outside of a Super Bowl halftime show, right? So she shared the spotlight and lifted up other Black women in the process. She then went on that field as she's showing not only her, but all these other Black people and horses, once again, showing Black cowboy culture to the world. And I want you to know that there is such a thing as Black cowboy culture. An email I sent out to my list this morning, I shared the fact that my father was part of that culture. Not only did he obviously listen to country music, but in addition to that, he rode, trained, competed in horse shows as one of the very first Black people in our area to compete in Tennessee walking horse competitions, all the way up to the national championship, literally in Tennessee. For most of my youth, not even young adult, my youth as a child, I watched my father compete in these horse shows where he was the only Black person competing. But I want you to know that we've been there for a long time. So she elevated Black boy culture. This is Black cowboy culture. This is not anything new. Obviously, Black cowboy culture goes way back even before my dad, right? Just we've always been here, even though others don't want to acknowledge it. But she lifts that up. She gave what's his name, Shabuki, which I didn't realize until last night when I was doing some research on him, who apparently was, as I said, admittedly, I'm not a big purveyor of country music, but apparently he had a very breakout year this year. He's been nominated for like 6 Grammys. He had a major song that was on the country music list, best list for weeks. Okay, this year, Shabuzi, thank you, Shabuzi. So that was the dude with the locks. She elevated him on that platform. Let me just tell you, Shabuzi was someone just like her who was snubbed by the Country Music Awards, even though literally he, by any other measure, he apparently produced the greatest country hit of the year. Okay. And by the way, for those of you in the DMV area, he is from the DMV area. He grew up in Woodbridge, Virginia. Okay. So she took that time to once again elevate another person. Even though obviously she's a star of the show, she's the headliner, she is Beyonce, and she could have done that whole show just as Beyonce. But I want you to know that she makes a habit. This is something I have to tell you. She makes a habit of lifting up other Black people around her. That's very intentional. She could have had Dolly Parton out there, but she didn't. Dolly was on her album. You mean to tell me she couldn't have had her if she wanted her? No, she took that moment to lift up these Black country singers that she knows are not getting the recognition that they deserve from country music. And she wanted to introduce them to the world. All right. Not only did she do that, okay, I want you to know that she obviously, in this performance, in her whole history, in terms of what she produces and how she showed up at Coachella, Even though obviously Beyonce is a star on a worldwide scale, she is unapologetic about being clear to everybody who her target market is. Yes, everybody could, people across the spectrum and all around the world love her music and buy her music, but her target market is Black people. Her target love is Black culture. And that clearly is the inspiration for her art. And she shares it boldly and unapologetically. So, why am I saying all this? And what does this have to do with you as a Black business owner? I want you to know that we would all do better by mimicking Beyonce's behavior in our businesses. It's not just about her marketing strategy. It's not just about her business savvy. It's about how she treats, elevates, connects, collaborates with, shines a spotlight on, works in unity with other Black people. Do you hear me? We would get so much further together than individualistically trying to struggle or trying to, even if it's not struggling, I hate to use that word. We could be very successful, but we could be that much more successful when we act collaboratively and not just in competition with one another. Collaboration is so much more powerful. Yes, business is a contact sport. Yes, you're going to always have competitors in business. But what if, especially right now, especially in this moment, when we are as a nation literally living a cultural moment in which we are being chastised, in which in many ways there are those who are attempting to take us backwards, in which it is absolutely positively true that we have forces within this nation that have made it abundantly clear that they don't want Black advancement. In fact, they want Black regression. And they are doing everything they can to create that reality. From talking about giving white people reparations, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. If you wonder why, for example, we've seen post the affirmative action decision in the Supreme Court, the Harvard Law School admittance rates by Black students dropped to levels that we haven't seen since the 60s. It is not because I would argue that Black people didn't belong there. It's because Harvard is afraid to admit more Black people. This administration, before they even came in, I'll put it like that, Trump has already announced that for higher institutions of higher education that he believes, based on nothing more than his belief, and please, let's not go ahead and look up his IQ. Please, I would love to see an IQ test from him. All right. And we know Daddy bought his spot at Penn. So let's even go beyond that. But I will say, when we look at what he threatened major Research One institutions that if he believed that they were somehow being, practicing, obviously, the term that they love, reverse racism, when they also at the same time claim that racism doesn't exist, make it make sense. But if he believed that that was happening, then he would go after the endowments of these major universities, that he would make them pay literally a price. And then from those endowments, that's how he would then compensate these white students that he believes were wrongly denied admittance. For major institutions like that have major endowments, you think they're not hearing that? You think that's not changing behavior? Do you think there's not impacts as it relates to that? We also know what's going on all across this nation in terms of the attacks against DE&I. I could go on and on and on. But the reality is that this culture has made it clear that they're not checking for us like that. In fact, they're being very, very, very openly hostile in this moment. I'm just saying that as a level set reality check. But I want you to understand that the answer to that is not by going ghost in terms of trying to make you individual. invisible. I can't even talk today. It's not about you trying to hide behind, stock imagery so that people can figure out you're Black as you're undergoing your actual business practices. I would argue that the path forward is exactly the opposite. You see, what Beyonce realizes, and that I want you to realize, is that you can be even more successful when you lean all the way into who you are. You can be even more successful when you embrace your history, your culture, your being, your authenticity. You can be even more successful. You can be even more successful when you unapologetically target Black people as your target market. Whoop, I said it. I said it. Can you build a successful business targeting Black people? Oh, hell yeah, you can. Now, that doesn't mean that you're saying that you are, you won't service other people. Absolutely, that's fine. Do you think that only Black people buy Beyonce's music? No. But she unapologetically makes Black people her target market, even in country. That's why she chose a song like Blackbird. That's why she surrounds herself with Black cowboys. That's why she elevates Black women in country music. She understands that there is a Black niche within country music. And she's also just showing that her depth and breadth as an artist is like no other artist that's alive today and possibly that's ever lived. I'm not aware of any artist that has attacked the wide variety of genres that she has literally made a mark in with regards to her latest series of albums, which the next one looks like will be coming out in a couple of weeks. So I say that to say, you don't have to hide who you are in this moment. In fact, I would argue that what you need to do instead is lean all the fucking way into it. All the way. Like all the way. Understand that now is the moment to be bigger and badder and bolder and more unapologetically Black. Even in this moment of Black hostility. Understand that this is a moment in which we are going to start practicing, as is mentioned now, this first day of Kwanzaa. And I do want to come to you with every day of Kwanzaa and have some thoughts with you around each of the different principles, because I think this year the Kwanzaa principles are hitting a little different with me. This year, the Kwanzaa principles are hitting a little different, knowing the reality that we are facing. If ever there was a time for greater unity, day one principle, in the Black community, that time is now. Do you realize that we have 1.3 trillion in buying power just as a Black community? That puts us among the leading countries in the world. I want you to understand there is enough economy within our community to make each and every one of you millionaires if you choose to even just focus on the Black market. You don't have to only serve the Black market, but I want you to know there's enough here for you to be very, very wealthy and not have to go through all of the uncomfortable twisting and walking on eggshells that you might feel like you have to do in this moment to be successful in a hostile environment. That's one angle. Another angle I want you to know is that even if you aren't targeting the Black community as your target market, know that no one really respects someone that does not respect themselves. Mic drop. Nobody respects somebody that does not respect themselves. I hate to go there, but I'm going to go there. Isn't it interesting that a lot of these very, very high profile Black Republicans that were out here, um, really out here going all in for Trump, ain't now one of them got a cabinet position? Not one of them got his support for cabinet position. Now there are a couple who have made it to something. He wants Herschel Walker to be ambassador to the Bahamas, but he really wasn't out there like that for him during the campaign. Not really. And then there's this other dude. I think he wants him to be at HUD. I think, the black job of the cabinets. But he wasn't really out there. I don't know who he was. But some of these main people that were out there prostrating themselves for him are not getting they're not getting the nod for cabinet positions. Why? Because nobody respects people that do not respect themselves. That is a law. So what it might as well be a scientific law. Okay. So I want you to understand that even if your market is broader, say your market is corporate, say whatever your market is, what it is, but understand that you are not showing up powerfully. You are not showing up in a way that's going to allow you to be respected. If you show up in a way that somehow undermines your belief in self and belief in who you are, because you're trying so hard to mimic something that is not you. That is not garner respect. And neither is it sustainable. Neither is it a situation where you will be happy over the long term and just proud of yourself. Do you not want to do work that makes you proud? Do you not want to do work where your children can look at you and be like, my mom does this, my dad does that? I love how Beyonce pulls in Blue Ivy in terms of all of what she's doing right now as Blue Ivy is getting older. She's exposing her to all these opportunities, which all of us have a responsibility to do that too for our children, expose them to as many opportunities and experiences as they want, no matter what anybody else says. Hello? But she knows that she's making something that her daughter can be proud of. If you watch the Homecoming documentary on Netflix, she specifically talks about that. I want to create something for which my children can be proud. They can't be proud of you if you are not proud of yourself. If you are not proud of who you are, if you are not proud of those who came before you, if you're not proud of your ancestors, your history, your culture, your essence. And let me tell you that when you fully embrace you, the contracts that you will attract your way will respect you. And they will have more faith in you that you are able to come and command the stage, the proverbial stage, in terms of what you are providing for them, because you have shown a level of self-respect and confidence in self that is required in order for them to have confidence in you, in order for them to respect you. Now is not the time to mute who you are. Now is the time for you to lean all the way in and to turn it all the way the F up. And boldly, I want to say, specifically for us, everybody loved when Issa said as she was going into that award show, I'm rooting for everybody Black. Yeah, we need to root for everybody Black, but we need to do more than that. We need to support each other at a different level. We need to elevate each other at a different level. We need to collaborate with each other at a different level. It's not just about rooting for everybody Black. It's about what can we each do to support each other in this moment. We are all we have right now. Don't get it twisted. I want you to understand the gravity of this moment. I'm not saying this to scare you, but I don't put anything past this incoming administration that we know are peppered with known white supremacists. All right? So what I want us to understand is that we are built for this moment, but Our biggest chance at success is when we understand how to work together to get there, how to really lean into the biggest part of who we are, and how we can really be prepared for this moment. I'm speaking now to people that even if you are not working your job your business full time, maybe this is something that you're doing on the side. I want you to understand that you really need to lean all the way into that mug right now, because who knows what's going to happen, particularly if you work in the government. They are talking about mass layoffs that we know are government jobs are disproportionately held by Black people, and that's not accidental. It's because at the time of segregation, that was one of the first places to integrate was, the federal workforce, as well as the military, a couple of first places to integrate. And the people that he have named, for example, the dude who has all these sexual assault issues going on with him that he's named for Department of Defense, don't let them distract you with that. One of his main things that he wants to do, basically, is to attack. When people say DEI, I see it as a euphemism for Black people. His hope is to attack and reduce the amount of Black people in the forces, as well as women. Now, you will see on the news, they're only talking about what he wants to do with women. Somebody need to ask him, what does he think about the diversity in the armed forces? Because we've seen from his statements that he wants to undo that too, which was interesting because that would take down most of it, just in terms of sheer numbers. But I say all this stuff. I feel like I'm rambling. I don't want to ramble. Here's the main thing I want to say. And I'll be coming on to talk about the different principles of Kwanzaa over the course of the next week, as well as what you need to do now to prepare for next week, for next year and beyond, because they are related. Today is about this idea of unity. We have to work together more, y'all. We got to figure out ways in which we can collaborate together more. We have to figure out ways in which we can support one another. We have to figure out ways in which we can intentionally seek out each other for our service providers, buy within the circle and not beyond it. We have to think of ways that we can do that moving forward, because we are entering a moment of assault on our well-being, on the future of our children, on the soundness and the viability of our businesses. We will be under assault. Do not get it twisted. But what I also understand is that we were built for this. We were made for this. We have within us the DNA that is still here, no matter what has been thrown at it over the past several centuries. And that's probably what makes us so scary. Because we are the ones who survived. We are the descendants of the one who survives. That means that we're the strongest of the strong. I want you to, in the moments in which it gets hard, I want you to remember that. And then think about, how can I lean all the way in to my fullness, to my essence, to my history, to my posterity, to who I be fully in this moment and not hide from it? It's that authenticity that you will need to embrace in this moments to be best equipped to fight the fight that we are facing. Now, for some of you, this is going to mean you're going to have to really maybe even think about, how can I refine my focus? How can I pivot a little bit? How can I reach out to that next level buyer that needs someone like me while being fully me? And I'm going to talk about all that during our time together over the course of the next week. I'm not going to do it today because I feel like I've been on here long enough. But I want you to start thinking about that. And I want you to start acknowledging how amazing you are. And just like Beyonce, I want you to wear it on your sleeve. It's not anything to be hidden. It's something to be shared with the world. And for those backwards people that have a problem with it, let them stay backwards. Don't hurt you. I'm looking at, these posts about Beyonce and not going to say what I'm thinking, but some of these folks who have everything to say about her, who don't think she's country, because of course, how could she be country? Listen, this woman could wake up tomorrow and sneeze and still make more money than they've made in their entire life and probably their entire lineage, all combined. How did she get there? She got there because of the work ethic. First of all, everybody who has been around her has talked about her nonstop amazing work ethic, her talent, her ability, her work ethic, her longevity, amazing. But to me, what makes her a star, what makes her someone that is worth emulating in this way, and part of what makes her successful, a big part of what makes her successful, is the fact that she isn't trying to be somebody else, is the fact that she's not trying to be a whitewashed version of a pop star. It's the fact that she is fully leaning into who she is, her ancestry, her history, us. And I want you to think about, as you're thinking about 2025 and how you are going to market yourself, how you're going to position what you do, who you're going to do what you're going to do for. I want you to think about the richness of us. And there are riches in that richness. Are you seeing what I'm saying? So the last thing I will say before I go is, as you begin that work and you start thinking about it, I want you to remind yourself of one thing. I got myself and my boys this little, I don't know if you can see it, it's so tiny, this little bracelet that just has something written on it right here. It's this little thing I found on Facebook. I can't even remember the name of the company that I bought it from, but it has this like affirmation on it. And this affirmation is the affirmation that will define my 2025. And I'm going to share it with you now. And if you don't like cursing, just know I'm giving you a warning. I'm giving you a trigger warning. The affirmation is, remember who the fuck you are. Bam. There it is. That is my charge for each and every one of you, not only today, but all throughout 2025 and beyond. No matter what they throw at you, remember who the fuck you are. No matter what people say about you, remember who the fuck you are. No matter what people say is not possible, remember who the fuck you are. Are you hearing me? Yes. And when you remember that, you will know that nothing is impossible, that nothing is beyond your reach, that nothing is unobtainable, that no matter what they throw at you, you have the wherewithal within you to pick that ish up and throw it right back and keep it moving. Remember who the fuck you are. And then you will have the key component that you need in order to be able to face all that's coming our way. No doubt it is. But you will be equipped. You will be equipped to fight back, and you will be equipped to win. Are you hearing me on that? All right, now. So I'm gonna let you go because I have some fun activities planned with my sons this afternoon. But we're gonna all go out with our remember who the F we are bracelets. And we're gonna have fun. But then after that, we're gonna get ready to fight. I look forward to being with you throughout Kwanzaa to help you remember who the F you are, and to be able to give you some tips, some tools as we are leaning into 2025 to be better equipped in our businesses in order to create that elevation that we need in this admittedly more hostile landscape. But we will still win. All right. I'm glad you needed that, Nick. Is that Nikki? Let me put on my eye. You know, y'all know. I can barely see. Hey, Nika. How you doing? All right, you guys. I hope y'all enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you. I hope y'all enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Happy first day of Kwanzaa. I look forward to seeing you all on the second day. And until then, hug somebody you love today. Okay. With that said, have a good afternoon and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye, everybody.